Welcome students to another lecture in the series. Let's move further. In this session, we are not going to study any concept, we're just going to practice the ones that we have done in the previous lectures. We have seen the various conditions of residential status and incidence of tax. Now let us see that whether we are able to apply them in the questions or the case studies that I have brought with you. Here we have 4 questions which will talk about different dimensions of these 2 topics. We have studied the conditions in details in the previous lectures. If any of the students who have not seen or studied the previous lectures must not go with this lecture, because you need to know the conditions before beginning with this. Let us begin. Question 1. Mr. Raj is a foreign citizen. See, there is one important thing before beginning. I would like to tell you that reading question with attentiveness is the most important thing, because while you read the question, there only you get your answer. So read the question thoroughly, so your answer would be correct. Okay. Mr. Raj is a foreign citizen. His father was born in Delhi in 1953 after independence, and mother was born in USA in 1916. Foreign citizen. His grandfather was born in Mumbai in 1929, say before independence. He visited India on 1st November 2016 for 200 days to visit historical places. See, many students take decision from here only by reading this statement and seeing this number 200 days that he is a residential status. I would like to tell you why you should not go for that, because in general what happens, students think that as per section 6 subsection 1, the first condition says that a resident or a person who is in India for a minimum of 182 days in the previous relevant year for which we are calculating the tax, he becomes the resident in India. So many students make a mistake from here only, that just by having a look to this 200, they just take the decision that he is resident in India, though he may be not. Okay. So read the complete question, go through the conditions properly, show the steps, write the reason with section, then only move ahead. And after that, he never came to India. Oh, he never came to India before, and for afterwards they haven't given us the information. Determine his residential status for the assessment year 2017-18. See, we need to see his residential status for the assessment year 2017-18. So first task that we are supposed to do here is to check out that which year would be the previous year for this assessment year, means for which period we are calculating the tax. As the assessment year is 17-18, so obviously the previous year would be 16-17. When we say a previous year is 16-17, this means that the date from which it starts is 1st of April 2016 and will end on 31st March 2017. I hope this is clear. Then further we check out that for how long he is there in India in that particular relevant previous year for which we are calculating the tax. And here in this question you have an additional thing, that this Mr. Raj falls in the exception to basic conditions because he is a person of Indian origin, because his grandfather was born in undivided India in 1929 in the Indian geographical boundaries, and he visited to India during the relevant previous year. Therefore, let us check the first basic condition as per section 6 subsection 1. So let us see his stay in India during that year. He came to India on 1st November 2016. Okay. And in this, for this particular relevant question, we just need to check it till 31st March 2017. Okay, let's count month by month. We need to add up the number of days for how many days he was in India in that particular year. For from 1st November to 30th November. November is a month with 30 days. So you can see the first number taken here is 30. Then after that, moving towards next month after November, from 1st December to 31st of December, he was there in India for next 31 days. then November, December, the next comes January, again 31, then comes February 2017, and 2017 is not a leap year, so for that reason we have just taken 28 days. Then March, 31 days, summing up together 151 days, which is showing that he is not fulfilling the first basic condition of 182 days during the previous relevant year. So in that situation, he becomes a non-resident in India. Now, sometimes students get confused that it is mentioned here that he was in India for 200 days. In that particular year till 31st March, he was there in India for 151 days only. Rest of the 49 days fell in the next assessment year, in the next year after 31st March 2017. So for that period, the tax would be calculated in the next year. So for this particular assessment year, this is the relevant previous year, and for that particular period, he was in India just for 151 days and disqualifying the first basic condition only to be a resident in India. So in that case, our answer would be that he is a non-resident in India for the assessment year 2017-18, and he does not satisfy any of the conditions. If any of the students are not able to understand the question at this moment, I would again suggest that you need to go back and see the conditions that I have taught in the previous video lectures related to residential status. Then you will be able to understand it nicely. And still, if you are having doubts, please write to me. Okay, let's move further to another question. Here I have chosen HUF because sometimes students think that we are supposed to calculate on individuals only. See, question can be from an HUF, from a company, from a firm, from any ways. Let us have a look to this. ABC HUF, HUF's whole affairs of business are completely controlled from India, and we need to determine its residential status for the assessment year 2014-15. This means the previous year would be 13-14, starting from 1st of April 2013 to 31st March 2014. But here dates are not given, so it won't create much problem. You just need to have a look to the conditions and give the answer. Here they have given you 3 conditions in the question, that if the Karta is a resident, an ordinary resident in India for that particular year. So with that you need to check out the residential status of the HUF. In the second part, they are saying if the Karta is a non-resident in India but he satisfied both the additional conditions, then you have to tell out that what would be the residential status of the HUF. And the third condition says that Karta is a resident and not ordinary resident in India. Okay, let us see. See, HUF would be resident in India. Reason is that control and management of that particular business is being wholly done from India. It is wholly situated in India. For that particular reason, it would be a resident. Now let us see determination of HUF is resident but ordinary resident or not ordinary resident. Let us check that out. And let us see that in all the 3 cases that are given to us. The first one, because the Karta is a resident and ordinary resident, so he would be satisfying both the additional conditions. So in that situation, HUF also becomes resident and ordinary resident because Karta himself is an ordinary resident, right? In the next part, HUF would come under the resident and ordinary resident in India because Karta is satisfying both the additional conditions that I have mentioned here. And the students, those who do not know which additional conditions we are talking about, please get back to the previous lectures and memorize all the conditions. So Karta's residential status during the relevant previous year, may be resident or non-resident, is irrelevant here because he is satisfying both the additional conditions, right? And in the third case, if the Karta is resident but not ordinary resident, in that case, since Karta is not satisfying those conditions and he is a resident but not ordinary resident, so for that reason the HUF also becomes resident but not ordinary resident in India. Okay, let's move to another question. Here I have purposely taken a firm. Mehta and Sons is a partnership firm whose operations are carried out in India. Very important point. However, all the meetings of partners take place in England as all the partners are settled there. So you need to determine the residential status of the firm for the assessment year 2017-18. Let us see. Mehta and Sons is non-resident in India during the relevant previous year because the control and management operations are running from India. No issues are there related to that. But all the meetings that the partners are taking place, all the meetings that are taking place are running from England. So for that reason, the control and management of that particular business is not in India. So it is the place where all the policy decisions are taken. So it is the place where all the meetings are being held, and which is wholly situated outside India. So from there only that particular firm, the particular firm Mehta and Sons becomes the non-resident in India. Quite easy, I suppose. This is bit difficult, looking up to be difficult, but you can expect such questions in exam for 15 marks, for 12 marks, and for 10 marks. So be ready for such questions in exam. Let us read the question well so that we can answer it well. Mr. Naqvi earns the following income during the previous year ending 31st March 2017. We need to check out his income which is liable to tax for the assessment year 17-18. If Mr. Naqvi is resident and ordinary resident in India, in three cases, we need to assume firstly that he is a resident and ordinary resident, second that he is a resident and not ordinary resident, third that he is non-resident. So in all the three cases, we need to check out that whether he is belonging to any category of being a resident or ordinary or not ordinary or non-resident. What would be his tax liability? Obviously it will not be same, it would be different. So we need to check out that only, that what are the particular points where we need to see that how the income we can calculate which would be taxed. Let us see point by point. First point is profits on sale of a building in India but received in USA, 35,000. I will go point wise with the solution, so please try and match. See, I have made a table here where I have put these particulars like profits on sale of a building in India but received in USA. I have made three columns that what amount of the income would be taxed in India. First column I have made for resident and ordinarily resident in India. Second column I have kept for this third column I have kept for the second case, that is he is resident but not ordinarily resident, and the third case that is non-resident. See, in all the three cases this income will be taxed, the first income, because the profits are being generated from a sale of building in India. So from here only it becomes an Indian income. Quite simple, right? So it will be taxed in all the cases whether he is belonging to any of the three categories of residential status. Let us see the second one. Second says that pension from former employer in India. See, employer is in India, very important point to be noted, but he is receiving in USA. It does not matter, it is being generated from India, right? So let us see how it would be treated. I have mentioned here pension from former employer in India received in USA, and it will be taxed in all the three conditions. Reason is that only because it is an Indian income, because it is generated from an employer in India. Let us see the third case. Interest on UK development bonds, 1/3 received in India, 10,000 rupees. See, it is interest on UK development bonds. 1/3 would be taxed for all the three cases because it is an interest on UK development bonds, and on the receipt basis they are saying that 1/3 is there. So in all the three cases, if the person is receiving it in India, it would be taxed for him. In the next point, it is similar. It is written wrong here. It is 2/3 actually. For that reason, the amount is 20,000. So it will be treated in the same manner. It would be taxed in all the three cases. Now let us move to the next point, fifth point. The income from property in England and received in Canada. Now let us see this one. Income from property in England received in Canada. Income from property in England and received in Canada. Let's see in these cases. In the first case, being resident and ordinary resident, it would be taxed in India. Same it goes for the ordinarily resident, and same goes for a non-resident, because the income is belonging to his point where it is being accruing in India because he is having the status of non-resident. The next we have 6, that is the income earned from business in Australia which is controlled from Denmark. 40,000 received in India and there, that is the total income is 80,000. So let us see. It would have a different effect. Income earned from a business in Australia, but it is controlled from Denmark. If a person is resident, obviously it will be taxed. Even if it is he is a non-resident, it would be taxed. But in case he is a non-resident, so he would be taxed only for that income which he is receiving in India. So just 40,000 would be taxed, not 80,000. The next we have dividend on shares of an Indian company but received in USA and not qualifying the exemption under section 10. This is mentioned here because income from dividends is exempted under section 10 subsection 34, but here they are saying that it is not qualifying that exemption, so it would be taxed. See, dividend on shares of Indian company but received in USA. How it would be treated? Dividend on shares of Indian company but received in USA. It is because it is being generated from an Indian company. For that reason, it would be taxed in all 3 cases. Now, let us see the next one. Profits not taxed previously brought in India. See, these profits were brought in India, no? So, let us see how it would be taxed. It is moving to the next page. Profits not taxed previously brought in India. See, it will not be taxed in any of the cases. Reason is because it was not taxed previously, but they were brought in India, right? So there must be some exemption or some reason, because if they are resident and not ordinary resident, because at this particular time the person may be having this status, but at that time it might not have been. So it is running on that accountancy concept only, because the incomes and all those things are considered at the time when they are being generated. So for that purpose, it is not taxed for any of these. Now let us see the next one. We have done till 8th. Now let us see the 9th one. Profits from business in Punjab, which is controlled from USA, 17,000. Business is being running from Punjab. See, profits from business in Punjab, which is controlled from USA, because it is being running from Punjab, it is being generated from Punjab, accruing in India. So for that reason, it would be taxed in all the 3 cases. We are having just few more cases to see, only 2 more. Income from agriculture in Korea being invested there. Now let us see. In this case, it would be taxed only for a resident and none other options, because the reason behind that is that because the agriculture is there in Korea, but he is a resident in India. For that reason, it would be taxed for him, but it would not be taxed for a resident and a non-resident, not ordinary resident and a non-resident. Let us see the last one. The last says that income from business in Sri Lanka being controlled from India. See, it is being controlled from India. Very important point, 10,000 rupees. So I have mentioned that only, that income from business in Sri Lanka being controlled from India. It would be taxed for resident, an ordinary resident, and resident but not ordinary resident also, but will not be taxed for a non-resident. So, and you can total out the incomes here out and see that there is a difference between the incomes which are being taxed for all the 3 cases. For this kind of a question, you need to be thorough with the concept of Indian income and foreign income. You will be easily able to get to know that whether a particular income would be taxed or not the time you know that a particular income is a foreign income or an Indian income. Then only you will be able to get to know that a particular income would be taxed in India or not. Okay, I hope you enjoyed this session. If you have any problems, you may write to me. Thank you. Take care.